And we're back. Okay, so we're still working on this thing. Got the motor so it runs pretty good. Once in a while it must still get a little bit of crap in it, in the carburetor. And you'll have to run with the choke out for 10-15 minutes, and then it'll run fine after that. So I'm going to try using it when I get everything else done. And hopefully it'll eventually just stop doing that, but we'll have to wait and see. I've had the carburetor apart like 3 times and cleaned it. I've had to put different gaskets in it. And if anyone ever has problems with this, I had an awful time with the fuel bowl leaking. I think I put 3 sets of gaskets in it, and it's leaked every time. So what I ended up doing is I went to Robert's Carb Shop on the internet. I ordered a bowl gasket, and then the ones that go in the nut in the bottom, put that on, hasn't leaked a drop. So really impressed. He makes gaskets out of a different material so they seal better on a pitted surface. So glad that's taken care of. We fixed the charging issue. The regulator was bad, which I was surprised because it wasn't that old. This one I actually had to modify a little bit when I got it. I should have bought a USA made one, but this one is just a cheaper. I'm sure it's probably made in China. But one of the springs didn't have enough tension on it, and it wouldn't connect hard enough to start charging. But we put a little more tension on it. Works good. Charges about 10 amps, so I'm happy about that. And we started working on the transmission. I don't know if you noticed in the last video I made that the transmission made a terrible noise in 5th gear and our PTO did not work, which I knew was behind that cover because you couldn't shift that PTO lever that's on top of the transmission over. So it was hitting something. I thought maybe it was something wrong with the sliding gear, but it's not. It was much worse. So I'll turn the camera around over there and I'll kind of point out what we're looking at and what the attack plan is. And here we are. As you can see, there's a lot of pieces missing. So this is shaft where all our problems were. As you can see, I mean, obviously the bearings are off from it, but it's got a lot of slop in it. So what there is on this is your crankshaft. This is your gear that turns continuously, which runs the power takeoff. This is a live power takeoff tractor. Your clutch pulley rides here, which runs the gear, which runs the transmission. So there was a bearing in here that was bad. Then there was 2 bearings that rode here that run the power takeoff gear. They were both bad. That gear was just slopping around on that shaft on the races. The balls were gone. And then we had the transmission gear. So everything from here out was fine until we got here where there's a bearing that actually sits in the outer cover. That was bad also. This is basically, I would call it a stub shaft, which goes into another shaft inside the transmission, which is your top gears shaft. There's a bearing in there. That's bad. Every bearing on this shaft was bad. So that's why we've had all the issues that we've had. So some of Deere's prices for those bearings were a little out there, so I did a little research and I actually found a chart, which I'm actually going to print it off for myself. It took all the John Deere part numbers and converted them over to other brand of bearings, like I think there was New Venture was on there. There was a couple other brands of bearings. Of course, some of the bearings or numbers interchanged with different brands. Like this bearing that goes inside this housing here was $201 from Deere. I thought that was a little steep for the size of it, and I actually found it through crossing a bunch of numbers is an NTN bearing for 90 bucks. So that's definitely the one we'll be getting. I found all the bearings and it's about half price because a lot of them are new old stock. So we're gonna have to redo the clutch while we're in here, but right now I want to just get the transmission done. So we're gonna have to pull out the shift rails, and we're gonna have to basically almost completely pull out that top shaft down there in order to replace that bearing on the inside, which a little more of a project than I was hoping to get into, but we got to fix it while it's apart. So, and we may possibly, if there's any play in the bottom bearings, we may replace them in the bottom shaft too, since we got it opened up. So here's our pile of parts. You can see the clutch discs. Everything there is pretty rough from the tractor setting. That's the flywheel. Top transmission cover. I have the pieces to fix that, so we'll be making a video about that soon. Replacing the ball socket, the seals, and the springs and stuff. The brakes, they're fine. We're not going to mess with them. And here's our side cover with the gears. So this is your PTO gear. As you can see, everything's gone except for the outer races. I have not taken them out yet. This is your main drive gear. Everything there is okay, other than it's a little wore from this gear spinning on the shaft, but nothing that will harm the tractor. So that's where we're at with this project. Hopefully within the next week and a half, we'll get the bearings and we will finish tearing it apart and hopefully be putting it together soon. I really don't want to leave this apart too long. I've got to get some gaskets for it. I'm going to make a couple also. So we'll see where we get. And now we're on the flywheel side. We're going to go over what we got to do over here. I actually got to pull the flywheel off, but the seal is leaking behind it, so I'm going to replace that, even though I do plan on doing the overhaul in the next year or two, hopefully, but we don't want to lose oil. It's too expensive. And then we got to pull this cover off, which is where your 4th and 6th gear sliding, well, the 4th and 6th gear sliding gear and shift rail is. That's also how we're going to get to the last bearing. So we're going to pull that off. And it said in the manual you got to pull the tire off, but I'm hoping this one's set out wide enough we don't have to. I don't think it'll be an issue because that tire is quite a ways away from that cover. But, so yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I will be videoing hopefully the rest of this teardown on this. I apologize for not getting the first part of it due to the fact that I wasn't even thinking about it. I just was worried about getting it tore apart because this has been bothering me ever since we got it running. So, yeah. I have an update of where we're at in this thing. So as I just said in the last clip, we'll be videoing the rest of the teardown on this, at least parts of it. Try to explain what we're doing. Not that sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of tearing stuff apart and see where we go. But yeah, so we'll get this part taken care of. We'll get the clutch redone. And then we're going to tackle the rear end of the PTO. If you remember from the one video I made there, the rear housing's cracked, it's leaking oil, but I have another problem. I believe those seals I put in failed in the back cover where the PTO shaft goes into the rear end. Because I do believe there's gear oil dripping out of there and it's not supposed to be. So I have to get a new shaft for that. I'm going to have to call down to a few places I know and see if they have any used ones that are good. But we're going to be doing that, rebuilding the clutches, and I'll probably put new bearings in there while I've got it apart. Because I really don't want to do this again in a year or two, so I'd rather know everything's good on it as far as the rear end goes, and then when I rebuild the motor, everything from the front will be good. So, but yeah. It's kind of nice to know that when I get done with this tractor, it'll have a lot of new pieces in it, and I won't have to worry about these things failing in the near future. But I definitely didn't think all this was wrong with it when I bought it, but like I said, for what I paid for the tractor, I'm not going to complain. I'm still going to have less into it than buying one that's going to be in the same running condition. But so I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you keep watching the videos of working on this thing. Really enjoy making them. I'm hoping today's Easter Sunday, so happy Easter, and I hope you have a wonderful day with your family. But the weather is beautiful. It's a little cool. It's like 50 degrees right now, but things are drying out fast. It's supposed to be nice all week. I think the temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Hopefully we'll start doing some tillage here in the next week or two. And I'll try to get some videos of that, do a little better this year. I plan on trying to get a little more videos out this year of more stuff we do. I kind of want to do an update video of what's going on behind me and the other tractors, because just about every tractor here has got a little project getting done to it, except for the 4020. And we bought a tractor next year, and I never made a video about it, so I'd like to do that too. So stay tuned. There'll be more videos coming of this thing and other projects, and hopefully some fieldwork videos. And yeah, hopefully big things to come in 2023 for us. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't, hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. I like answering them if they're, good questions or whatever. And hope you enjoy. Thank you for watching.